Book 14, Part 1 of Ovid's Metamorphoses. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Brian Haggerty. Metamorphoses by Publius Ovidius Naso. Translated by Brooks Moore. Book 14, Part 1. Now the Euboean dweller in great waves, Glaucus, had left behind the crest of Aetna, raised upward from a giant's head, and left the Cyclops fields that never had been torn by harrow or by plough, and never were indebted to the toil of oxen yoked. Left Zanclea also, and the opposite walls of Rhegium, and the sea, abundant cause of shipwreck, which confined with double shores, bounds the Ausonian and Sicilian lands. All these behind him, Glaucus, swimming on with his huge hands through those Tyrrhenian seas, drew near the hills so rich in magic herbs, and halls of Circe, daughter of the sun, halls filled with men in guise of animals. After due salutations had been given, received by her as kindly, Glaucus said, "You, as a goddess, certainly should have compassion on me, a god, for you alone, if I am worthy of it, can relieve my passion. What the power of herbs can be, Titania, none knows more than I, for by their power I was myself transformed. To make the cause of my strange madness known, I have found Scylla on Italian shores, directly opposite Messenian walls. It shames me to recount my promises, entreaties, and caresses, and at last rejection of my suit. If you have known a power of incantation, I implore you, now repeat that incantation here, with sacred lips. If herbs have greater power, use the tried power of herbs. But I would not request a cure, the healing of this wound. Much better than an end of pain, let her share and feel with me my impassioned flame." But Circe was more quick than any other to burn with passion's flame. It may have been her nature, or it may have been the work of Venus, angry at her tattling sire. "You might do better," she replied, "to court one who is willing, one who wants your love and feels a like desire. You did deserve to win her love, yes, to be wooed yourself. In fact, you might be. If you give some hope, you have my word, you shall indeed be wooed. That you may have no doubt, and so retain all confidence in your attraction's power, behold, I am a goddess, and I am the daughter also of the radiant sun. And I, who am so potent with my charms, and I, who am so potent with my herbs, wish only to be yours. Despise her who despises you, and her who is attached to you repay with like attachment, so by one act offer each her just reward." But Glaucus answered her attempt of love, "The trees will sooner grow in ocean waves, the seaweed sooner grow on mountain tops, than I shall change my love for graceful Scylla." The goddess in her jealous rage could not and would not injure him whom she still loved, but turned her wrath upon the one preferred. She bruised immediately the many herbs most infamous for horrid juices, which, when bruised, she mingled with most artful care and incantations given by Hecate. Then, clothed in azure vestments, she passed through her troop of fawning savage animals, and issued from the center of her hall. Pacing from there to Rhegium, opposite the dangerous rocks of Zanclea, she at once entered the tossed waves boiling up with tides. On these, as if she walked on the firm shore, she set her feet, and, hastening on, dry-shod, she skimmed along the surface of the deep. Not far away there was an inlet curved, round as a bent bow, which was often used by Scylla as a favorite retreat. There she withdrew from heat of sea and sky, when in the zenith blazed the unclouded sun and cast the shortest shadows on the ground. Circe infected it before that hour, polluting it with monster-breeding drugs. She sprinkled juices over it, distilled from an obnoxious root, and thrice times 9 she muttered over it with magic lips, her most mysterious charm involved in words of strangest import and of dubious thought. Scylla came there and waded in waist-deep, then saw her loins defiled with barking shapes. Believing they could be no part of her, she ran and tried to drive them back, and feared the boisterous canine jaws. But what she fled she carried with her, and, feeling for her thighs, her legs, and feet, she found Cerberean jaws instead. She rises from a rage of dogs, and shaggy backs encircle her shortened loins. The lover Glaucus wept. He fled the embrace of Circe and her hostile power of herbs and magic spells. But Scylla did not leave the place of her disaster, and, as soon as she had opportunity, For hate of Circe, she robbed Ulysses of his men. She would have wrecked the Trojan ships if she had not been changed beforehand to a rock which to this day reveals a craggy rim, and even the rock awakes the sailor's dread. After the Trojan ships, pushed by their oars, had safely passed by Scylla and the fierce Charybdis, and with care had then approached near the Ausonian shore, a roaring gale bore them far southward to the Libyan coast. And then Sidonian Dido, who was doomed not calmly to endure the loss of her loved Phrygian husband, graciously received Aeneas to her home and her regard, and on a pyre, erected with pretense of holy rites, she fell upon the sword. Deceived herself, she there deceived them all. Aeneas, fleeing the new walls built on that sandy shore, revisited the land of Eryx and Acestes, his true friend. There he performed a hallowed sacrifice and paid due honor to his father's tomb. And presently he loosened from that shore the ships which Iris, Juno's minister, had almost burned, and sailing, passed far off the kingdom of the son of Hippotas in those hot regions smoking with the fumes of burning sulphur, and he left behind the rocky haunt of Achelous' daughters, the Sirens. Then, when his good ship had lost the pilot, he coasted near Anaryme, near Procida, and near the barren hill which marks another island, Pithecusae, an island named from strange inhabitants. The father of the gods abhorred the frauds and perjuries of the Cercopians, and for the crimes of that bad treacherous race transformed its men to ugly animals, appearing unlike men, although like men. He had contracted and had bent their limbs, and flattened out their noses, bent back towards their foreheads. He had furrowed every face with wrinkles of old age, and made them live in that spot, after he had covered all their bodies with long, yellow, ugly hair. Besides all that, he took away from them the use of language and control of tongues, so long inclined to dreadful perjury, and left them always to complain of life and their ill conduct in harsh jabbering. After Aeneas had passed by all those, and seen to his right hand the distant walls guarding the city of Parthenope, he passed on his left hand a mound, grave of the tuneful son of Aeolus. Landing on Cumæ's marshy shore, he reached a cavern, home of the long-lived Sibylla, and prayed that she would give him at the lake Avernus access to his father's shade. She raised her countenance from gazing on the ground, and with an inspiration given to her by influence of the gods, she said, "Much you would have, O man of famous deeds, whose courage is attested by the sword, whose filial piety is proved by flame. But, Trojan, have no fear. I grant your wish, and with my guidance you shall look upon the latest kingdom of the world, shall see Elysian homes and your dear father's shade, for virtue there is everywhere away." She spoke, and pointed out to him a branch refulgent with bright gold found in the woods of Juno of Avernus, and commanded him to pluck it from the stem. Aeneas did what she advised him. Then he saw the wealth of the dread Orcus, and he saw his own ancestors, and beheld the aged ghost of great Anchises. There he learned the laws of that deep region, and what dangers must be undergone by him in future wars. Retracing with his weary steps the path up to the light, he found relief from toil in converse with the sage Cumæan guide, while in thick dusk he trod the frightful way. "Whether you are a deity," he said, "or human and most favored by the gods, to me you always will appear divine. I will confess, too, my existence here is due to your kind aid, for by your will I visited the dark abodes of death, and I escaped the death which I beheld. For this great service, when I shall emerge into the sunlit air, I will erect for you a temple, and will burn for you the sweet incense kindled at the altar flame." The prophetess looked on him, and with sighs, "I am no goddess," she replied, "nor is it well to honor any mortal head with tribute of the holy frankincense. And, that you may not err through ignorance, I tell you life eternal without end was offered to me, if I would but yield virginity to Phoebus for his love. And while he hoped for this, and in desire offered to bribe me for my virtue, first with gifts, he said, 'Maiden of Cumæ, choose whatever you may wish, and you shall gain all that you wish.' I pointed to a heap of dust collected there, and foolishly replied, 'As many birthdays must be given to me as there are particles of sand,' for I forgot to wish them days of changeless youth. He gave long life, and offered youth besides if I would grant his wish. This I refused. I live unwedded still. My happier time has fled away, now comes with tottering step infirm old age, which I shall long endure. You find me ending 7 long centuries, and there remain for me, before my years equal the number of those grains of sand, 300 harvests, 300